Hi guys, welcome back. So now let's quickly look into the frequent misconceptions about evaluation. Alright, before we go into the hands-on portion. The first part, okay, we are actually concerned about students. They are not evaluating because they don't see the need to evaluate. Alright, so now let's look into this scenario. Your case study, alright, type 4 questions, there will be 2 marks to 4 marks that will be allocated to evaluation. Alright, so normally you have two type 4 questions. Okay, the lower weightage one will be 2 marks, higher weightage one will be 4 marks. Okay, so on average there will be 6 marks out of 30 marks, okay, that is awarded to evaluation. Okay, so if you can work out, okay, 6 out of 30, what is 6 out of 30? Right, 6 out of 30 is actually 20%. Okay, and if you look at essay, for each essay, okay, there will be 4 marks. E2 is actually up to 4 marks. Okay, E1 is 2 marks. Okay, so this is cumulative, meaning to say if you get 2, the maximum they can get is 4 marks. Okay, so you realize something. Your evaluations for your essay, all right, for each essay it is 4 marks out of 25. Okay, and if you work out the math, okay, this is actually 16%. All right, and this is the approximate amount of marks that is based on evaluation. Okay, so you realize if you cannot evaluate properly, you will be one big step away from A. Alright, because there are significant marks allocated for higher order thinking skill. Okay, so you need to know this important skill set in order to do well for your A levels. Alright. The second most common misconception that my not my students, okay, all of y'all shouldn't be this, all right, but students before they join my program, okay, I do ask them, so how have you been learning your economics so far? Okay, so some of them they actually tell me very straight on the face, say, Mr. Jeffrey, currently I'm just memorizing from my TYS, my jaw nearly dropped. Okay, I was thinking there are so many permutations of question, alright? How is it possible to memorize essays and memorize evaluations, alright? It is simply trying to find a needle in a haystack. It is very, very, very unlikely. Okay, so I would like to show you this scenario. Okay, this is a micro questions for H2. For H1 students, don't worry. Okay, you still can learn something from here. Okay, so you realize for these two questions, the only two words that are different, okay, is airline industry and magazine publishers. Okay, so the context itself is very different already. Okay, if you try to go to popular, okay, and if you buy a TYS that actually gives you this question, okay, and you memorize all this inside out, and when you try, and when the exam question comes out like this, and you try to vomit out everything from airline industry, okay, you realize that you will be in trouble, okay, because number one, the industry nature is different. Number two, the examples are different. Okay, so because of the context that is different, just a simple two-word difference, okay, will lead to a very huge majority shift in your answering. Okay, and this is why you can't afford to memorize. Okay, the next part is macro questions. So for J1 students, if you are watching this part, just try to understand, okay, because it's eventually going to come to you unless you touch wood. Okay, you have to stay on in year one for another year, which I seriously hope you are not going to do that. Okay, but let's look at here. Okay, now the two questions are seemingly the same. All right, just that two words are missing here. All right, this is the two missing words that are missing in question one. All right, So in this case, if you go to Popular, you buy a TYS that has this question and you memorize this question, and when the exam comes out this question, okay, you might be thinking, yes, okay, I've struck gold already. Alright, the two questions are almost the same. Okay, think twice. Okay, because when you memorize the entire essay and the evaluation style, okay, you realize that these two keywords are very crucial. This actually tests you on application. Okay, you need to have understanding in Singapore, okay, before you can apply your concepts of unemployment. Okay, so in this case, if you try to vomit everything out, you will fail. Okay, because you will be answering out of point. Okay, no context. But there is a trick to this question. Okay, the trick to this question is if you happen to memorize this question, okay, and this question comes out, okay, if you memorize exactly and you form it out in exam, you will get an A. Why? Alright, because the first question did not state the exact situation, they did not state the context. Okay, so if you memorize a Singapore question and such a loose question, the first question that comes out, a loose question comes out, you are going to stand to gain because you can use whatever that's in Singapore to answer this question. Okay, but if you memorize the first question and you are supposed to answer a Singapore-based question, you will be in trouble because whatever that you memorize, you do not have examples in Singapore. Okay, so there is a slight possibility or there is a very small likelihood that you may memorize the correct question. Okay, but the likelihood is extremely small. Okay, and the second risk okay, for memorizing essays is let's say they take away unemployment. Okay, they put inflation, another macro problem, then you will be in trouble. Okay, because you have only memorized based on unemployment. You are not familiar with the inflation problem in Singapore. You only know what are the unemployment problems in Singapore, then you'll be in deep trouble. Okay, so after this slide, after going through this slide, hopefully you guys can put aside your TYS and tap onto your brain to think. Okay, how are you going to score evaluation marks?